Welcome back, learners, and let's continue with our lesson. So now we are going to be working more on those application questions. Let's see if we can solve for the following unknown values. So for number 1, there we have 3 and in brackets x minus 2, close bracket, is equals to 4, open bracket, x plus 1, close bracket. Now when we have brackets, the easiest way is to distribute those brackets. So 3 multiplied by x is going to give us a 3x. And we are subtracting in this bracket, then we have a 3 multiplied by 2, that is a 6. And this is equals to 4 multiplied by x, which is 4x. And we are adding in that bracket, so 4 multiplied by 1 is a 4. So now we are going to work with this equation and we are going to solve for it. Now remember, we said that if we have the unknown on both sides of the equal, let us try to get it on one side of the equal sign. So how are we going to do that? We are going to now say that 3x minus 6, and we have on the other side 4x plus 4. And let's take the 3 to the other side. So by using the additive inverse of 3x, which is, as we know, adding a negative 3x. And we have to do that now on both sides. And what does this leave me with? This leaves me with a negative 6. And on this side, we have now, remember, all the x's are going to be added together. So this side on the right-hand side, we have a 4x plus a negative 3. So a 4x plus a negative 3, that just leaves us with x, and we still have the plus 4. Then we need to find the value of x. So what are we going to do? We are going to use the additive inverse of a plus 4. Now the additive inverse of a plus 4 is a negative 4. So I'm going to add a negative 4 on both sides. So that leaves us with x on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, I have a negative 6 plus a negative 4, and that will give us a negative 10 as our answer. Let's go on to the second one. Now we have here 6 exponent to x, and that is equals to 36. So the first thing we're going to do is to write 36 in exponential form. And the best way to do this is, remember, 36 is 6 times 6, and that is 6 squared. Now, there are many ways to represent 36 in exponential form, but we were looking for the same base. So now, because the powers are the same, powers are equals to each other, the powers are equals to each other, and the bases are the same. This means that the exponents are also equal. So now we have 2x is equals to 2. And how do we solve for that? We are going to multiply with the multiplicative inverse of 2. And we are going to do that on both sides, that is multiplying by 1/2. And the reason for this is because it is the multiplicative inverse. We are left with just x. And on the right-hand side, we have 2 multiplied by 1/2, and the answer there is 1. Let's go on to the next one there. So we have 3 exponent x plus 2 is equals to 1 divided by 729. Because we are working with exponents, the first thing we are going to do is to change all the numbers that are not already in exponential form to exponential form. So we are going to change that 1 divided by 729. That is going to be 1 divided by 3 exponent 6. So now, how do we get them to be the same base? Remember those exponent laws? It is a denominator. If I make it a numerator, then the 3 is going to be a base 3, and the exponent is going to change its sign. If it was positive, it will be negative. If it was negative, it will be positive. Now remember, this is all equals to the left-hand side, which is 3 exponent x plus 2. Then the powers are equal, the bases are the same. This therefore means that x plus 2 is equals to a negative 6. So how are we going to solve that? By using the additive inverse of 2. And that is a minus 2. And what I do on one side, I must go and do on the other side as well. So on the left-hand side, 2 plus negative 2, that is just x. And on the right-hand side, we have a negative 6 plus a negative 2, that is a negative 8. Number 4 there has brackets again, but on one side of the equal sign. So what are we going to do? We are going to distribute those brackets, or that bracket, and that is going to be 5 multiplied by x is 5x, 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. So that is 5x plus 15 is equals to 2x plus 12. So that is a plus 12 there. So remember, all the unknowns must be on one side, and we are going to use our additive inverse and our multiplicative inverses to solve for this equation. But let's first work with those additive inverses to make sure that our unknowns are on one side of the equal sign. So what we're going to do there is to look at that 2x, and the additive inverse of 2x is a negative 2x. So on both sides, I'm going to add a negative 2x. So from both sides, we are just going to add a negative 2x. Now a negative 2x plus, a positive 2x plus a negative 2x, that gives us 0. On the right-hand side, we are just left with 12. And on the left-hand side, I have 5 x's, and I am going to add negative 2 x's. And that is going to give us a 3x, right? And we still have that 15 there. So next, we are still going to use our our additive inverse of 15, which is a negative 15. So from both sides, I am going to add a negative 15. And what is that going to give us? Firstly, a 15 plus a negative 15 is 0. They are additive inverses of each other. We are left with 3x. And on the right-hand side, I have 12 plus a negative 15. That is going to give us a negative 3. Then when we have 3x, we are going to multiply it with 1/3, which is the multiplicative inverse. And what I do on one side, I must go do on the other side as well of the equation. Then 3x multiplied by 1/3 is x as our answer. And on the other side, we have a negative 3 multiplied by 1/3. That gives us an answer of negative 1. So that means that our final answer is x is equals to negative 1. Let's move on to number 5, where we have 2 exponent x plus 3 is equals to 1/4. So again, working with exponents, we change everything into exponential form. So we know that 1/4 is 1 divided by 2 squared. And if we want to make the 2 powers the same base, then we are going to say 2 exponent x plus 3. And on the right-hand side, we are going to take this power, that's the denominator, and we are going to make it a numerator. That is going to give us 2 exponent a negative 2. That's according to our exponent laws. Now, because the 2 powers are equal to each other, we are now, and they do have the same base, we are now going to say that means that the exponents are also equal. And that turns it into a linear equation. So now we have a certain number and we add 3. The answer is a negative 2. How are we going to work with that? We are going to use the additive inverses. So the additive inverse of a positive 3 is a negative 3. So on both sides, we are just going to add a negative 3. And then now we have 3 plus a negative 3 is 0. So on the left-hand side, we are just left with the x. And on the right-hand side, we have there a negative 2 plus a negative 3. That is going to give us a negative 5 of our answer. And then the last one there is 3 exponent 2 minus x is equals to 81. Again, let's get everything into exponential form. So what is 81 in exponential form? Yes, you are thinking of 3 exponent 4, then that means you're correct. It is 3 exponent 4. On the left-hand side, of course, we just have that 3 exponent 2 minus x. So the powers are equal, the bases are the same. So what does this mean? It means that our exponents are also equal. So that's 2 minus x is equal to 4. So how are we going to solve for that? We're going to start with the additive inverse of 2, which is a negative 2. So on both sides, I'm going to add a negative 2. And what does that give us? So on the left-hand side, we'll be left with just the x, or the negative x, sorry. And then on the right-hand side, we have 4 plus a negative 2. That is going to give us just 2. And we can't leave our unknown value as a negative there. We need to know the value of x and not negative x. So how do we get our x to be positive? We are going to multiply by negative 1. Remember, multiplying a negative with a negative will give us a positive answer, and multiplying any number by 1 does not change the value of that number. So even on the right-hand side, it's going to be a 2 multiplied by a negative 1. That means our answer is going to be there. X is equals to a negative 2. And that is our answer for that exponential equation. Let's quickly go to an ad break, and then we'll see you just now.